This video is brought to you by Squarespace. Hello there, and welcome to the one video a year where I actually focus on visual art. I'm kidding a little bit, but at this point, not by much. That's right, welcome to my 2023 sketchbook tour. I have at this point pretty much an annual tradition on the channel where I do a sketchbook tour that took me an entire year. Regular viewers will know this, but I focused on a lot of other artistic things this year. I did a lot of costuming and cosplay and sewing and just crafting in general. So my visual art fell to the wayside a little bit. I didn't focus on it quite as much, and by extension, I really did not draw in my sketchbook, like barely at all this year. I worked in the sketchbook a lot at the beginning of 2023, like, you know, March through May, and I didn't really get back to working in this regularly until November and December, which is when I finally finished this baby up. This is the sketchbook in question. You'll see this in more detail in just a couple of minutes, but if you do want to watch me paint the cover of this, I did it in this video, and you can go watch it, and you should, because it was a lot of fun. This definitely has fewer pages than I am used to working in, because like I said, it's got nice thick multimedia paper that can take materials like watercolor and gouache and acrylic paint, and I did some acrylic painting in the sketchbook, let me tell you what. Before we get into the actual tour, I have a little shameless self-plugging to do. If anyone's interested, I do have a Patreon that you can support, and when you do that, you will also get access to a super secret additional sketchbook tour that is Patreon exclusive. So if you are also interested in watching that, again, patreon.com/PricklyAlpaca, and you can access it for as low as $1 a month. Now that all that's out of the way, let's get into the tour. So starting right off, here is a close-up view of the painted cover of the sketchbook. We have this, then, wow, fire hazard, hello. We have this. Like I said, I did do the art for this in a video on the channel, but I tend to like to paint the covers of my sketchbooks instead of doing stickers or other things, just because it feels more personal, and then it's also kind of like a time capsule of my art for the year. So I definitely tend to choose things that were like prevalent in my art, things that I drew a lot. So Luna Moth, this is a reference to one of my OCs who's like a fire user. This is my Night OC, Rose Thornblade. This is a little self-portrait, and then we have a depiction of my cat here, which I really love how this turned out. Snake, some florals, just because, you know, those are things I like. Also some bioluminescent mushrooms, and then this little piece here is actually kind of concept art for a comic of mine that doesn't exist and may never exist, but the protagonist kind of facing off against the like weird demon manifestation of the main villain. I really like how this turned out, and overall I really like the cover spread of this sketchbook. I think everything just flows well, the composition is fun, the colors are wild. This is a Master's Touch Fine Art Studio sketchbook. It's like the multimedia one that has kind of like watercolor paper, but it's smoother inside. You will get a better look at the texture here in just a second, because here is the first spread. There's just so much going on here. I kind of use this first spread in my sketchbook as more of like a burner spread. I did start out actually doing kind of like an art exercise from a Skillshare class that I was taking, where you were making your, it's like an art map, I think is what they called it. So you're just kind of like writing down a bunch of things that were thematic in your art or important to you. So I have a bunch of that in here. Too much to like really point out, but other than that, I did a bunch of little doodles of things. Cat, Ellie's tattoo from The Last of Us. I have a little John Wick doodle because I went to see John Wick Chapter 4. I glued a bunch of things that I got this year, like at conventions, like little business cards, stickers. Like I got these from Lady Epi whenever I ordered from her shop. Absolutely love it. And then this is also another person who does like printing on t-shirts. I got something from them for a friend of mine. Tons of random stickers, cute business cards that I like. This is a mermaid that I met at a Ren fair. This is Coral Koi on Instagram. They have an adorable business card, so I also put that in here. You might also be wondering about this. I'm originally from Pittsburgh. I don't live there anymore, but I went back there for the first time in like 9 years this year, and we went to the Yinzers in the Berg. And you know what? If you know, you know, and if you don't know, you're not gonna get it. Yeah, really chaotic start to the sketchbook. I think that it's fun to just kind of mess up your first page and make it chaotic so that you don't feel too much pressure in the rest of the sketchbook. Moving right along, we have the very first real page of the sketchbook. I was just probably drawing some people from Pinterest, trying to get comfortable. Whenever I begin a sketchbook, I usually try to make the first page that's like a real page, something that I like, so that I can start out the sketchbook in a confident way and feel good and not intimidated about filling it. But here we have my character, Rose Thornblade. A bunch of people, I'm sure, from Pinterest. I really like how these two look. And then we have some Ellies from The Last of Us. These are okay. I was using a different pen than I usually use, so I don't love how some of these come out just because I'm not quite as confident with that pen. Wow, and then here we have even more The Last of Us stuff. If you're a visual artist, a sketchbook can be a great way to showcase unique parts of your creative process to potential clients. You know, the bits the robots can't do. And thankfully, I can easily update my portfolio to include some of my favorite sketchbook spreads with this video's sponsor, Squarespace. I've hosted my portfolio on Squarespace for several years now, and their best-in-class, flexible website templates make it incredibly easy to get started with a sleek and professional website tailored to your niche right from the jump. And their website builder fluid engine makes it incredibly simple to customize my website however and whenever I'd like with simple drag and drop features. I can easily tweak everything from text, colors, to layout, to the pieces in my portfolio themselves whenever I need to, and I can even add additional pages or galleries for my sketchbook work with handy page templates and image blocks. A goal of mine this year is also to focus a little bit more on creating cool products and merch featuring my art, and Squarespace even conveniently offers an online store where you can sell physical, digital, or service products integrated right into your website. And if you sell physical goods like I do, you can make the process even more streamlined with Squarespace's custom print-on-demand merch, which is especially useful if you don't have a ton of time because they'll handle production, inventory, and shipping for you. So if you'd like to begin your passion project and truly prove to our robot overlords that they're not ready to replace us yet, you can head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, you can head to squarespace.com/PricklyAlpaca to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you so much to Squarespace for conspiring with me on this video. Now let's get back to it. For those of you who don't know The Last of Us lore on this channel, I first got exposed to it really, well, I guess first through video essays. I basically spoiled the entire second game for myself through watching video essays about it, but I got exposed to the story as a whole through the TV show, watching it this year, and I became very obsessed very quickly. And after watching the show, I got really into the game, and I just love it. It has a very special place in my heart now. I did a lot of fan art for it. I did these actually while I was on my little vacation in Pittsburgh, like seeing family and stuff, because we were watching a couple of the episodes as it came out, and I did this whole spread with my cousin's pen that I think ran out of ink because of me. So that was fun, but I really like some of these because again, I was using a pen I wasn't used to, and it was very kind of experimental, but I really like how some of these sketches of Ellie came out. I like this clicker, and some of these sketches of Joel are like okay. I think that this spread is really fun just because there's so much going on. It's really satisfying to my maximalist brain. There's also a lot of references to like the game and the show in here. I really like this achievement unlocked gun, because for some reason Show Ellie just really wanted a gun. Also, this one says this sandwich is a weapon. Another show reference. Moving right along, these are some of my favorite sketches and doodles I think in the entire sketchbook, just because I did many of these really recently. So on this page, I was trying to get back into art after like not doing a ton of sketching or visual art for a while, and I was not feeling super confident, so I was doing a bunch of studies of faces on post-it notes so that it's a very low commitment and I can kind of just do it, and if it's good I can put it in the sketchbook, and if it's bad I can just, you know, it never happened. I pretend I do not see. So I ended up doing a ton of studies of characters from Buffy. That's another piece of lore, of personal lore. I watched the entire series for the first time this year, and it just like really hit. It became a bit of a fixation of mine, but I really like the characters in the show. So I think I did pretty much everyone in the main cast. Faith is over on this side. I really like how a lot of these came out. Like that's a really good Buffy. I like the Xander. I really like the Giles. Spike also looks pretty good here. So moving on to this page, more The Last of Us stuff. There's gonna be a lot of that in the sketchbook, but here I was just trying to do a study of Bella based on a Pinterest image that I found. they're kind of difficult to draw for me. I don't know how close I got. I feel like their facial features look a little bit small, but still super cute. This is also another doodle of them just like acting goofy on set of The Last of Us, like on the carousel, which was fun. And then this is also, you know, mixed between game and show scene. And I really like how this came out. This is like acrylic paint, by the way. I do a ton of stuff with acrylic paint in this sketchbook, and everyone keeps telling me to use gouache, and I refuse to because I have bad experiences with it. Moving on, this is a bit of a, I don't know, aimless spread. I was kind of just trying to fill space here, but in the middle, there's an OC of mine. This is Quintessa. If you've seen past sketchbook tours, you've probably been exposed to her. And then we have Jinx and Vi. There's also still a ton of Arcane stuff in this sketchbook, but this is kind of like a study based on a screenshot from the show. I was trying to kind of like adapt it into my art style a little bit more, and I really like how that came out. This is also kind of the same deal. I was actually using Posca pens to color some of this. These are the Crayola Super Tips markers, I think is what they're called. Highly recommend these if you want a marker to like fill, you know, spreads and little color blocks in sketchbooks that usually will not bleed through a page. These are water-based. Anyways, getting a little off topic. I don't like that one as much. I was trying to play around with colors and do something a little bit more vibrant, and I don't know. This is from Bright Cellars. When they sponsored me, they sent me this wine card and I liked how it looked, so I put it in here. And here's a fox with a sword in its mouth. I don't know why it's in there, but it is. Here's another fun spread that I really like. I was drawing my Monster Kids OCs, which again, some of you are probably aware of. This is Orchid, this is Orchid, this is Orchid, and this is Paul. This is Paul, and that's Jamie/Randler. I really like drawing Orchid in like different outfits and hairstyles, and this is a new character that I'm trying to develop for this comic that doesn't exist and may never exist, but I really like her design. This one ended up not being so great in ballpoint pen, so I went back with acrylic paint and painted over it, and I really like how this came out. I was just kind of trying to challenge myself to paint with like purple tones but still make it look green because the environment around it is green, and it's not perfect, but it's good for sketchbook art. This is another page that's absolutely all over the place. I think I was kind of taping stuff in here, and I don't know, like this, a lot of the pages in here unfolded in a weird way because I did not fill this sketchbook in chronological order, so my art style jumped around, and how comfortable I was with art at the time jumped around and fluctuated a lot. But again, I saw John Wick, so I drew Keanu, the Baba Yaga. This is a Pinterest girl study that I think is pretty cute. Some eyes from Pinterest and more Pinterest girls. I'm pretty happy with this spread. I could be a little bit more satisfied with some of the colors that I chose and made it look, you know, a little bit more harmonious. Overall, I think it's cute. Here, I'm so sorry in advance, but I affectionately dubbed this spread a Pedro Pascal. I'm sorry you hit the dislike button, but I was just trying to study Pedro because I rarely draw men, as I've mentioned, and I am trying to improve that and like get better, and I need to get the shapes. I need to figure out what I'm doing with like how I draw men, and exactly what my art style is. So I figured Pedro would be a good subject because he has an interesting look and he's really hard to draw. I like this. I like that. This one's also pretty decent. And then here's again, I was drawing more like his version of Joel mixed with the game version of Joel, and it looks like more or less okay. And I think I intended to like paint some of these and I just never did because again, drawing and painting men intimidates me, and I didn't feel like doing it before finishing this sketchbook apparently. But also I have to acknowledge these are really bad, but Dio, I did some Dio in here as well, I think from NYPD Blue. I just see those screenshots all over Pinterest of people being like, oh my gosh, it's Goth Pedro. It's so good, but decent enough spread, a little chaotic. Here is an inevitability. There is so much Spider-Man stuff in this sketchbook because I am selfish with my sketchbooks. I tend to only draw things that I really like, and the movie came out this year and blew my mind again and made me once again try to like steal the art style from the movie. But here I was just drawing Miles and Gwen being cool. I really like this drawing of Miles. I think it's fun. Skin tones are difficult whenever you have like Crayola markers, so I was trying to like make it work, and I think it turned out okay, but obviously it could be a little bit better. And the scene of the movie of them like hanging upside down. That's absolutely iconic, also cool. A lot of these are just okay otherwise. I didn't like pay as much attention to the composition, I think, whenever I was planning this page. So I think that this could have flowed a little bit better. Not that like that's the biggest deal. I just tend to be a little bit extra with my sketchbooks, but yeah. I don't know, it's kind of all over the place. It's not as satisfying as I would like it to be. I also like these poses for the purposes of like seeing how the poses improve later, because I think that they do. I did a lot of action poses in this sketchbook. Here's another fun, super random page. Here I was trying to do studies again on post-it notes of the 3 different Spider-Men, and they're mostly just okay. I would say if anyone is okay at the most, it's Toby. Toby looks kind of like himself. The other 2 I don't think are that great, but here I was drawing my monster kids hugging, being cute. I was just in the mood to like draw an interaction. Ella's version of Ellie here. Here, once I saw the episode where Ellie fought David, I was very much moved. So I was like, oh, I want to do a sketch of it. And then I actually ended up doing some actual digital art of it here, and I printed it out and put it in my sketchbook to kind of match. But this was my first little composition of like how I wanted to plan it, and then I did end up moving it around a little bit, but I think it's really cute. Here we have a bunch of different poses. Again, I think I was just doing studies off Pinterest, trying to get comfortable again with drawing after being on a little bit of a break to do other stuff this summer, but I think these are mostly okay. I like this kick a lot. Some of them are like a little stiff, like this looks pretty stiff, but I like parts of it. I'm trying to train myself to actually use reference in an effective way and like translate it better into my art style. You know, I like it whenever there's a lot of different action poses on a page. Again, I just like my sketchbooks to be really full. Moving on, we have more of the same, just doing more like Pinterest studies of poses using Quintessa and her like more casual outfit. Just trying to like explore perspective a little bit. I actually quite like this and this. And then this pose is actually unreferenced, and I like that quite a bit. She's just, it says gremlin mode. But yeah, other than that, just little doodles of Julius, that's his name. I'm trying to figure out how I want to draw him now, because my art style has changed since I developed his character, and I'm just, you know, being indecisive. I do like that sketch a lot, because perspective. I was trying some things. I remember this being a good art day. I did a bunch of this stuff like on the same day, because I was just trying to fill space and I had time off, so. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be something else. So this is probably the most random page that I have in the sketchbook period, but so first of all, this is my current D&D character. Her name is Simone. What are they called? Tabaxi. She's a Tabaxi. She's a cat, and it's really funny because I play her with a lot of cat jokes. She's a bard. She has a beautiful singing voice. She's very talented. And I don't love this sketch of her because the perspective and the anatomy is like pretty messed up. Around here I just did like a bunch of little Pinterest studies of cats because I was just in the mood to draw some weird cats one day. And the elephant in the room, I saw the boy in the crane with a friend of mine, and I was just enamored by this very rude bird. It was just so strange. I drew it here, saying some profanity, and then I found out that this bird was voiced by Robert Pattinson, so I drew this and wrote beside it, "This is the skin of a killer." You know, I love using my powers for evil sometimes, but I want to do more dumb nonsense like that in my sketchbooks because it's just a lot of fun. It's so silly. Here we have some more nonsense and some more stuff that's more or less okay. So here I was just drawing some greyhounds and some Italian greyhounds because they look like ancient beings who possess all of the knowledge of the universe, but they're like dog rats, so they can't do anything with that knowledge, so they're just perpetually, you know, tormented. I love them. I love them so much. If I could have a greyhound, I would love to. Again, they have a certain wizard energy about them that I really would like to harness for my own purposes. So here I was doing a study of a Nightcore girl, drawings of my character Rose Thornblade. I think I did these during a D&D session, and I liked them enough to just tape them in and do some little ferns around them and stuff. Here's another spread that is all over the place, but I like it quite a bit. Again, I think I was doing these sketches during a D&D session, because during the middle of the year, that's really the only time that I had to draw in my sketchbook, but I really like how they came out, because this sketch is, again, using like more of a fountain pen type ballpoint pen that I'm not as used to using, and like the ink flow is just a lot heavier, so you have to be really careful about the marks that you make, and it looks really nice and illustrative. I like that one too. This one's not as on model as well as this one, like it just doesn't look as much like her, but I still like the style. I would really love to learn how to draw with those pens better. You just have to be very intentional with your lines, and it's a little bit more difficult to, you know, get the kind of details that I'm used to. I really like the effect of it, because like you can get such nice like shading and details and everything. And then this is another study of like a Pinterest night core girl that I just thought was super cool. I wanted to do way more nights in the sketchbook, but I ran out of space because again, it's just not as big. I think I taped this in to cover something up, but you'll never see what's under it. So that's fun. Oh boy, okay, so here I think again I did this close to when the Spider-Verse movie came out, the second one, and I was revisiting my Spider-Sona. I did a video where I was designing variant Spider-Man characters close to when the movie came out, and for that I was using my Spider-Sona to kind of like do an animatic at the beginning to do like an intro. And I just wanted to like practice drawing her a little bit. There's actually a couple of spreads like this in Sketchbook, but I did some of these like back then, and then some of these are more recent. So you can kind of see a little bit of progression in my art style there, so that's nice. But I like quite a few of these. I don't love the colors on this one just because, again, I was using my Crayola markers and the color range is not as good, so I was just limited. This is not what the suit looks like in terms of color, but that's okay. Here we have more Spider-Verse stuff, and some of this I like and some of this is not great. Starting with what I like, the sketch of Miles I think turned out really nice, and I've got a little Miguel O'Hara here. That was super fun to do because I used my Posca pens, and I used like one of those jelly roll white pens to like add the lines on it and everything. I also like this Miles, which is why I colored it in, but the other poses on this page are like, I'm really not overly fond of some of these. They're just kind of stiff and the proportions don't look right. Not everything can be perfect in a sketchbook. I wanted to save some things that's like, I don't love this, but it's still in here and it still looks decent enough. So that's the story of that. Here's another super random spread. But I really like the colors in this actually. I think it turned out looking super cute. So this is like a tattoo design kind of concept art that I'm doing for a friend of mine, maybe. I don't know, it's been forever. And we keep talking about, oh, we'll do the tattoos. And then we never do it. So maybe it'll happen eventually. It'd be cool to like, you know, have my art on a friend. Yeah, other than that, I was just doing some studies of plants. This was concept art for a character in a video that I was trying to like design, and they didn't really come out how I wanted. So I kind of drew over it a little bit. And then fruit. And here is like my interpretation of the strawberry dress character. I've had her for years since that was a thing, and I kind of make a point to draw her in every sketchbook that I do. So here's my little strawberry dress vampire witch being really cute. Again, this is acrylic paint and also Posca acrylic paint markers. And here we have even more Spider-Sona stuff. And I think I referenced having some sketches in here of my Spider-Sona that I like a little bit more, and this is what I'm talking about. Like this one especially I'm really fond of. I just really like how the lines came out and the flow of the sketch and everything. I think turned out super good. I also think this was maybe unreferenced. This was also probably unreferenced, but for a lot of these other ones I was doing referenced studies, most likely from other people's art. I wish that I had made notes of like where the art came from, but I was just kind of drawing for pleasure, so I forgot to do that. But this is a nice pose that I like, and I also like this one. You might have seen this piece of art on Pinterest if you look up as much Spider-Man art as I do, but I just really liked the perspective. This was originally like a drawing of Peter that I kind of turned into my Spider-Sona, but the rest of these I'm sure are from comic book panels that I kind of used it as an example and put my Spider-Sona in place of. Highly recommend doing that, by the way, if you want to do studies, but you don't want to have a sketchbook just full of generic studies of like people and characters that you don't know. Put your own character or whoever you want in place of the studies and like make it your own, because most of the time you're really just trying to capture like a gesture or just a certain pose, so the anatomy doesn't have to be specific to the reference. You can just make it your own. That's what I do a lot of times. Here's a spread of Buffy stuff. Some of it is kind of embarrassing, but you know what? It's fine. So here we have a bunch of Buffys. I kind of was on a mission to learn how to draw Sarah Michelle Gellar in this sketchbook, and she continues to elude me, but I will still try. Here I was kind of drawing her in my more casual art style, and then this I was following a reference, but I don't think it looks super good. This one I think is pretty decent, all things considered. And then we have my loves, Willow and Tara, some of the best characters on the show, adore them. And then we have the trash man, Spike. I drew some of this before I finished the show, so I have complicated feelings towards Spike. I can only say sorry. And then we have an actual best boy, Lorne from Angel. I also watched all of Angel, and Lorne's my favorite character from Angel. He is the best, adore him. Here we have more Pinterest girls, just random cute stuff. I'm sure most of these are like studies from particular images. I know these are. I think this is random and this is random just from the old brain. So I think these are all pretty cute. Again, my art style was kind of all over the place this year, so nailing down how I wanted to like draw faces and kind of try to merge my more cartoony anime style with the realism that I'm trying to go into has been a bit challenging, because I guess I'm trying to get something that's like a little bit closer to this, like how I portray these characters and these characters, you know, where there's like discernible bone structure and noses and it's less simplistic, but it's a process. You gotta trust the process sometimes. Oh, this is one of my favorite spreads in the entire sketchbook. So I don't know, I was just really on a vampire kick this year. I think some of it is there's just like weirdly some really good vampire media out right now, but in addition to watching all of Buffy, I finally watched all of What We Do in the Shadows, which is a fantastic show. Super, super funny, highly recommend. So I did a spread of all of the main characters and I absolutely love all of them. And I really like how all of these turned out. I've like cycled through who is my favorite character on the show, and I think I did settle on Guillermo, but I do love the New York 3 as well. Nandor might be like my second, but Naja's also up there. But also Matt Berry is just like such a good comedic actor. I don't know. It's a really difficult choice to like decide on a favorite, but they're all super fun to draw, I'll say that. And for context, I was doing like a Vampire Slayer AU with Guillermo because I think that's so fun. Spoilers if you don't know, like season 5 stuff. So you've been warned, but I'm so sad that they did away with Guillermo being an actual vampire so quickly. I kind of hope that he becomes a vampire again in the end or something. I would really love to see them do like a mix between his Van Helsing blood and like his desire to be a vampire. I think that would be cool. And this is my pitch for it. Anyways, another Guillermo, because I love him and he's really fun to draw. Here I was doing a study of a Buffy screenshot that turned out okay. I don't know. The paint mixing is not the best. It looks pretty sad, honestly, and like the anatomy isn't great, so yeah, it is what it is. This was a study of a painting that was used to like depict Naja in the show. So I wanted to draw it here too, just because I thought it was cool and kind of funny, frankly. And here's another Naja. Here's a study of Buffy. Just, you can tell I was really one-track mind with the stuff that I was filling this sketchbook with this year. But yeah. Weird spread. I don't love how the colors look together, but you know, it's fine. Not every page has to be perfect. And again, I apologize. I deeply apologize. I'm so sorry this trash man is in my sketchbook, but we do love James Marsters. We love James Marsters. He's great. So let's just say that these are drawings of him, strictly of him, but I do like how some of these turned out. But yeah, moving right along, here's a spread of mostly Naja again. I absolutely love her. I actually did like a cosplay of her for Halloween. I also drew the guide with her. Also, before I flip, something I highly recommend if you're trying to draw like really glossy black hair in a sketchbook, using a jelly roll pen on top of like black Posca paint is just satisfying. I highly recommend doing that. Also, I want to mention my voice is going a little bit, so I apologize for that. I might have to like take some vocal breaks here because like I'm feeling it a little bit. But here I was just doing some planning for my big Halloween project. I did a good bit of the concept artwork for this on my iPad, but then I did want to like explore some of the concepts in more detail in my sketchbook, and I was trying to do like a whole journal style aesthetic spread and do like a bunch of details on my planning process, and then I didn't really end up doing that. Like I did it on this page and I was going to outline everything else I was going to do. I put down like a bunch of different ideas, and you know, as always, it was a really detailed, complicated build, and I was also making something else like every week of October, so I didn't have a ton of time to work on it. I think I did overall work on it for about 2 weeks only, but I did end up drawing like kind of the finished product like after the fact, so that's fun. I have that in here, and this is like a pretty good interpretation of how it ended up turning out. But I do like the spread. It's very aesthetically pleasing with all the little notes around. I want to do more like little notes and annotations in my sketchbook. Just I like the aesthetic value, and then I also like seeing my thought process about things, especially as I'm like designing things in my sketchbook. Here's another spread that I really like. I was just drawing Rose Thornblade, my knight character, being delicate and graceful and pretty. Like especially this sketch makes me laugh so hard, because first of all, I really like it. I think it's really cool and it turned out nice, but also this is just like not her at all, and this also is like not very characteristic of my art in the first place. Like this is very anime, but I like it because it's really cute, and I also like the little dress she's wearing here. But otherwise, I did like a close-up on her face. I think I'm struggling a little bit with how I want to draw her on model. My art style is just suffering a little bit right now, but I like her face here, and also over here is pretty nice. Just her holding her sword and being, you know, chivalrous and knightcore. She's another comfort OC. I just love drawing her whenever I don't know what else to draw, and that is a large percentage of the time. Ooh, here's another spread that I really like, and it's only because I did paintings in here. I painted over some stuff that I didn't like, which is always fun, but here I was just doing studies of Vi. Again, kind of trying to put screenshots into my art style a little bit more and figure out like how I would want to like bring aspects of the Arcane art style into my own, because it's been a big inspiration for me, you know, ever since it came out. That and Spider-Verse, I feel like, are the pinnacles of like my art style inspiration right now, but I did those, and then I did some other stuff that I didn't like as much, so I painted over it. And again, these are screenshot studies, so this is a screenshot study of her face, and then I kind of expanded it and did like the rest of her torso. But I really like how this came out, not so much for the quality of the face or the body, like a lot of it's pretty vague, but like the colors ended up like really like pleasing. I don't know. And then this is like a screenshot that was pretty backlit, so the lighting conditions were pretty difficult to capture, and I worked pretty hard to do it. I think it turned out pretty good. It's not perfect. Her face is like a little bit off model and messed up, but I think all things considered, especially since like doing very particular lighting is still a challenge for me with traditional painting, I think it looks really good. And then this is another one of those little cards that I got with my Bright Sellers sponsorship. This, I think, just matched Vi's energy, so I put it in here. I haven't even had this bottle yet. Need to drink it. See what it tastes like. Here I was just doing a bunch more little action poses with my character Quintessa. I think I was just on a roll this day, drawing different positions and poses, and just, yeah, this was finished. I think some of these were like half started, like this I did on a different day, and this, and like this. And I went in with pencil and kind of finished things up and did studies. So I remember messing up this head and not liking it, and then, you know, a couple weeks or days later I went back in and kind of fixed it and made it into a pose that I actually like. But yeah, I think in this sketchbook I was kind of getting used to drawing with pencil a little bit more often, just because I could feel my draftsmanship with the ballpoint pen slipping a little bit and just not paying as much attention. And sometimes whenever I'm like, I just want to draw a pose that's good, I'll go back to the pencil so that I just have a little bit more control with it. But I do want to make sure I do more ballpoint pen sketches in my next few sketchbooks, just for the very convenient reason of it just doesn't smudge. Like you can tell here it's a little bit smudgy. I wish that I could find some good erasable pens. If you know of good erasable pens, leave them in the comments so that I can get some of them, because I've looked and they're difficult to find for some reason. Here was like an art block busting day. I was having just a really difficult time trying to figure out what I wanted to draw and like getting inspired and everything. So I know with this one in particular, I went to like a random prompt generator on the internet and I was like, okay, generate a scene and then I'll draw it. So I forget what it said. I think it talked about some kind of like feline creature looming over a big Gothic city. So that's exactly what I drew, and I think it turned out pretty cool actually. It looks a little bit rougher in person, but it's looking pretty good in the viewfinder. So all of these are done, I think, with, yes, they're the Artify alcohol markers. Other brands are also good. These are just the ones that I've tried, but I do recommend them if you're interested in getting some. They work really well. They're basically the same exact thing as like the Copic markers, whatever you want to call them. They're just like way more affordable. But whenever I use alcohol markers in this sketchbook, these are the markers that I use. So here I was just kind of doing little scenes from Pinterest and stuff to just fill a space and like try to get the inspiration flowing, and also try to get used to using color more in the sketchbook, because up until now I had not done a lot of that. Another thing I like about the sketchbook is like alcohol markers don't bleed through the pages that much. See, it does like a little bit here and a little bit in a couple of other places, but I think I had to apply a lot of ink for it to do that. So it's actually like pretty good, because you can tell there's some dark ink happening here. So I do recommend this sketchbook as well if you want to do a bunch of different mediums and just not have to worry about it bleeding through the pages, because I also like to draw on both sides of the page. But here's another great spread. Oh boy, this is another one that I think I worked on a lot during another D&D session, and I was just kind of doodling while we were doing our thing, and it was probably a slow night, so I could focus more on just making like nice looking pencil sketches. And I think I did these first, but just nice little interaction pose between Vi and Jinx. It's not perfect, like some of the anatomy is pretty messed up, but I do like the style that it has. Something about using pencil, I think it caters to my art style a little bit more than pen in some ways, but pen's just more convenient. But I really like the softness that I can achieve with pencil. I really love these headshots of Vi and Jinx. Like whenever my art style looks like this and I can draw like that consistently, I really like it. But unfortunately, not all my art days look like that. Sometimes my art days are a little rough. So that's unfortunate. But here's another, I think both of these are also reference studies. I did those later, but love that spread. I think it turned out really nice. And here's another spread of a Haley Steinfeld character. I hope I'm saying her name right, but I just was drawing some Spider-Gwens. Absolutely love the character's design in the movie. I really want to cosplay her because I got the hair for it, and I love taking sort of action-oriented characters and using them to do like pose studies and stuff like that, because again, I can turn studies into something that's a little bit more my own. Like that's from Pinterest, but then some of these I think I just did from off the top of my head. I think I did some of these on Christmas actually, whenever I was just hanging out with my family and we were probably watching a show or something and I was just doodling while I was watching that. But I really like that pose too. I know she plays the drums, but I just liked the pose and I was like, let me draw her with a bass real quick. Because I feel like maybe she can play multiple instruments, probably. Here is a painting that I didn't quite finish, because in the middle of it, I was like, this is hard, you know? Do you ever just like paint something and you're like, this is too hard? I don't feel like finishing it. I'm sure some of you can relate, but I don't know, like the base sketch was a pencil sketch and I didn't like it that much to begin with. It was a little bit messed up because drawing this big, I just lose track of like proportions and space and all that stuff. I don't do well drawing this big. So I was like, I'll paint over it and I'll make it a whole thing. It'll be a fun little spread. And then it just was taking a long time and I was running out of time because I wanted to do the sketchbook tour and you know how it is, but it's fine. I think it's a rougher little sketch painting. It was fun to do like kind of a color study of the game screenshot that this was based off of, because I think this is based off of like a promo image from part 2. Yeah, like you can tell the proportions are not great. The neck of this guitar is messed up. Also, Ellie's face is really hard for me to draw sometimes. She's just one of those characters that just doesn't come easily to me. I think it's because some of her features are more subtle, so I don't know. Ooh, this is a fun page. So again, I was just doing mostly more studies from Pinterest with this. This is directly referenced from, I think that this is an album cover. I'm sure someone knows what this is. I just saw it and I thought it was cool, so I wanted to paint it. I don't know, I kind of made it my own. I was like, yeah, maybe she's sucking the blood of some poor unsuspecting girl. So I also drew a head down here and a hand. That's not actually from the image that I was studying. It's like just this, and then I added on. But I also did a little vampire teeth study back here just to fill space and for the heck of it. Here's a character, here's a drawing, sorry, of my character Jordan, aka Ratchet, with his sword. I referenced this from a piece of art that I don't know, I looked up sword pose on Pinterest and it came up. Again, I forgot to write down which piece of art it was. Here are my little vampire girls. This is a character you saw before that's the one in the strawberry dress, and then here's the character that wears the black dress. It's like corresponding, and they're vampires and they're really cute. And again, I was doing like interactive poses this day, just in random blank spots in my sketchbook. I really love drawing like intimate interactive pieces where I really get to focus on like the emotion in the pose, because I've mentioned I don't always feel like I put that much emotion into my artwork, but they're cute. I like them. I wish I had like maybe painted this or something, but I liked how the sketch came out, so I didn't. More paintings and random stuff. So all of these are painting studies that I did off Pinterest. Once again, acrylic paint, just kind of messing around, and this is how I spent my holiday break this year, just doing a bunch of stuff like this. But I really like some of these. I'm still trying to figure out how to mix colors traditionally, especially whenever I'm doing more quote-unquote realism or trying to achieve something that's like reference, and some of it's still really challenging, but I like this study a lot. I like this one, and this one's also pretty good. This one took ages just to like try to mix colors for like the sunlight hitting the snow and everything, and I don't know, it was just hard. It feels very impressionistic because whenever you see it from the viewfinder, it looks decent, and then up close it's kind of a mess, but they're still cute. I had a lot of fun working on these. And then over here, I was doing some drawings of Peter Parker from the Insomniac Spider-Man game, because that's the other thing that I spent my holiday break doing, is playing through the entire first game, because I had never played through the whole story mode yet, and I want to play the second game because I've already had a bunch of it spoiled for me, so I wanted to go back and play the first game because I played the Miles Morales DLC like all the way back in like 2020 or something. It might have been earlier than that even, I don't know. So I wanted to actually experience the main story and get caught up for the second game, because I've already had most of this main story spoiled, but a lot of people say that it's like the quote-unquote best Spider-Man movie. That's debatable, but I think it's still really good. I enjoy it a lot. I really like Yuri Lowenthal as Peter. I think he's a great voice. So again, just doing studies of like game Peter's first face before they changed it and made him look weirdly baby-faced. I was feeling a little goofy, so I drew the moment where he decontaminates himself from a scorpion attack, and then he's like, wow, I'm not wearing clothes. So I just was feeling goofy. And here's also a Miles from a screenshot from the second game. I really like his hair in the second game. It's so cool. I think this was also referenced off Pinterest. I don't know, can't remember, but I like this spread a lot. Here's another random bit of stuff. All over the place. Just all over the place. We have a bunch of Buffy studies here. This is a study referenced from a photo, so is this, so is this. To varying degrees of success. I think I did this one first, and this is referenced off of a screenshot that I really like, and I think is super cool. And I spent so long trying to paint it and like get the lighting right and get the likeness there, and I just don't think it ever quite made it there. Like, it's a little scary, I'll be honest. Like, I really don't like how Sarah looks at it. It's not great, but I tried, and some of it's okay. Here's the same story. I was just trying to capture like this, I don't know, the aesthetic of some of the early episodes of the show is just like really soft, and it's got like a nice film grain kind of thing with it, and I was trying to capture that with my colors, and it's a little rough. It's not great, but I think this was a lot more successful just because it's a little bit more in my art style. But again, still problems. I don't know. Sarah Michelle Gellar continues to elude me, and I will continue trying until I can draw her properly. This is out of left field. This is based on a screenshot of Jenna Marbles from the video where she's wearing the leisure suit. So super random. I don't know. I was just having a day probably where I didn't know what to draw, so I drew this randomly in my sketchbook. I think this was first and the rest of them came after. It doesn't mesh. And the colors are also like really rough together. It actually really bothers me. But again, I decided not to fix it because some things are just fine. Here is another spread of like action poses that I think are really, really fun. This is probably another one of my favorite spreads in the sketchbook. Once again, all probably referenced off of Pinterest photos and poses and that sort of thing. Trying to get used to drawing people, trying to get those good art vibes so that I could probably like confidently draw something else that I needed to do for actual client work or that sort of thing. But yeah, I like a lot of these poses a good bit. And then some of them are pretty rough. So hey, life is just like a mixed bag sometimes. I also really like some of the expressions that I did off to the side. I probably like looked up one of those expression memes and chose a different expression to try out with her face. Still trying to like nail down her model with my current art style. I feel like that's a constant struggle, just trying to figure out how I want to draw things, because the more studies I do, the more like realism tends to like seep into my normal art style, and I think it makes me kind of lose it. Sometimes I'm like intentionally trying to draw things a little bit more realistically, and I go back to my usual art style for like comics and stuff, and then no one looks quite right. And it's a struggle. I'm sure some of you can understand where I'm coming from here, and you feel the struggle as well. Here's another super fun page that I really, really like. Okay, so in terms of painting, some of the paintings in here are pretty rough, but I really enjoy how these came out, and these are also paintings that I did like just the other day. These were like not that long ago at all. I'll go over this first. This is just like, again, random OC stuff, goofy. I don't particularly love how it looks, but I was just trying to like draw her looking cute in a cute outfit. I was trying to come up with like a nice dress design or something for her that was like in character, and I don't love it. It's just okay. This is another one of the wine cards from Bright Sellers, and then this is from a grocery store from my trip where I got some ramen or something. I liked taping receipts in here this year too, but anyways, over here, screenshot studies from Jennifer's body that I think turned out pretty fun. I really, really had a good time working on them and just trying to like capture likeness and colors and be kind of fun and experimental with it. I was having a blast, and I really like how they came out. Again, they're not perfect, but I think they look like themselves, which is good. I think that's like the main thing that I was trying to accomplish here, in addition to them just looking interesting. Like, I feel like this Amanda Seyfried looks like a drawing of her in a style that is cooler than mine. You know what I mean? I like it. I think it's fun. I really enjoy painting these days because, I don't know, it's just so freeing. It's so very shape. I love things that are shape. Over here, we have a bunch of different studies using Jinx. Again, I think I was looking up references of like circus performers and aerial artists and that sort of thing, because that's the kind of character I feel like Jinx is. Some of these are like okay, and some of them are better. I don't know. This one's pretty good. This one's pretty good. These are decent. That one's also decent, and then I just drew like a filler Jinx head in the middle to kind of like take up that space, and I think that's pretty good. I did this recently, trying to figure out what I want my more casual, more illustrative art style to look like. These were really fun to do. I wish they looked a little better, but they were a lot of fun. Here is almost the last page of the entire sketchbook, actually. I told you guys this was shorter. Here on the far left, these are actually prints from Lady Eppie. I got these from her shop as part of an order, and I want to frame them or put them on a wall or something like that, but I don't have a safe place for them right now, so I figured I'd just tape them in my sketchbook so I know where they are. Didn't do those. Eppie did them, and they're really cute. Here I was just doing a study of a girl from Pinterest, once again using like alcohol markers and trying to figure out how to like make alcohol markers work for me, and I think I figured it out okay in the end. It's kind of just fine. I think she came out looking cute. I struggle sometimes to like make faces symmetrical, especially whenever like the person I'm drawing has very symmetrical features, so it was a little bit of a struggle for that reason, but I think it ended up looking, again, decent. I like it well enough. Here's a little self-portrait. I was just kind of messing around and drawing myself with my current like gothier aesthetic or whatever. And then here's also an outfit that I wore on a night out recently that I just kind of liked. So I did a little outfit of the day drawing of it. And here's also another receipt. Something meaningful from a trip that I went on that I just felt like taping in here for the heck of it. And here is the last page of the entire sketchbook. Sorry, camera battery died on the very last page of the sketchbook, which is just super convenient. But like I was saying, a bunch of just random stuff all over the place, mostly little tidbits from throughout the year. But over here, just little vampire ladies, probably a sketch that I taped in from somewhere else. This is a business card from a convention probably. This is also from Fennec Design. This is the signature of the woman, I don't remember how to pronounce her name, I'm so sorry. But the person who runs the shop Somnia Romantica, I bought one of their pieces for the first time this year, which is something that I had been wanting to do for so long because I absolutely love their work. So nice, and I want more of it. So put their signature in their little packing slip in here just to remember it, because it's probably the most expensive piece of clothing I've ever bought because it is art and I love it. And I have just like a little list of like art goals and things I want to do, things to think about for the next year. More business cards from like some local, I think this is from a Ren fair again. More stickers, and then underneath here is once again art that I did not do. I actually don't know who did this, but this was the little card that was in one of my orders from Lady Eppy. I just put a bunch of that stuff in this sketchbook because again, it's easier than keeping track of it in the rest of my stuff because everything I have is way too cluttered. So a lot of stuff like that I just want to keep track of. I tape into sketchbooks, and with that is the end of the sketchbook tour. That's this whole sketchbook. I told you guys that this was not going to be the longest sketchbook tour ever, although I'm sure the cut of this video is probably still gonna be like 50 minutes long, but I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that maybe I'll have a longer sketchbook tour for you next time with just like more pages, but I think this is still fair enough, you know, collection of art. I like how it came out. Oh my god, wow. Whoa, are you still here? That's crazy. You really didn't have anything else to do today, huh? Well, you know what? I am glad that you made it here with me. I hope you enjoyed it, and I appreciate your view. But you know what I appreciate more than that? That's right. All of my wonderful patrons, and especially my executive producers. I'm not saying that name on the internet. ABW Makes, Bellfire 1053, Samalama MC Samabama, Sarah, Crimson Moon 04, Liana, Ermler Jean, Anubix, Breeza, Sony, Brian, Phoenix, Rose Draconi, Freedom and Gusgus, Francesca Sliwa, Kat, Dodo, Zyle S, The Cat Spark, Agent.Sketchy, Bea Maia, Lovisa, Eloquent Silence, Megan Penland, Enozine, India Gloom, Hypnos, Katie, Sweet Winter Garden, Gravity Drop, I Hang Out with Cats at Parties, and Bean the Bread.